They took a surprise trip to Iceland. I found out from Facebook saying, "Family only. Once in a lifetime." I said nothing. Until my sister sent me a screenshot she meant for my mom. She'll never even know, her card handled the flights. I texted her one thing. "Safe travels." Then flagged the charges as fraud. Reported the passports as compromised. At 5:17 a.m., I got an email from the airline. "Booking cancelled due to verification failure." And then came the real message. "We're stuck. Call us." I found out they went to Iceland through an Facebook reel. The video started with my sister, Aubrey, doing a spin in front of some surreal volcanic landscape, then cutting to my mom laughing in the blue lagoon, steam curling around her face like she was in a commercial. The reel ended on a wide shot of snow-covered mountains, captioned, "Just for family. Once in a lifetime." That last part was what did it. Just for family. 2 weeks earlier, I had invited them all over for dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and a bottle of wine. I had been thinking about how long it had been since we all traveled somewhere together. I brought it up while we were clearing plates. Suggested maybe a quick trip, nothing extravagant. Colorado, maybe the Grand Canyon, something accessible. My mom said she couldn't take time off. Aubrey said she had midterms. Caleb mumbled something about work and went back to scrolling his phone. I didn't push. They didn't seem interested, and I figured that was the end of it. Turns out, the only part they didn't like was the idea of taking me with them. The reel was posted around 11 p.m. I wouldn't have even seen it if a friend of mine hadn't messaged me. She follows Aubrey and assumed I was already there, thought it was weird I hadn't posted anything. I opened the link, half confused, thinking maybe it was an old trip being reposted or some random throwback. But no. The timestamp was current. They were in Reykjavik. They'd left without a word. I watched the video again, slower. My mom's winter coat was new. Aubrey's scarf was the one I gave her last Christmas. They looked like they were having the time of their lives. Not a single empty seat or awkward glance to suggest anyone was missing. My phone buzzed again. A message from Aubrey. I didn't even have to open it to know it wasn't meant for me. It was a screenshot of her texts with my mom. I read it 3 times. She won't even know. Her card paid for all the flights. Everything clicked in my head. Last month, my mom had asked me to help her with a loan payment. Said she was in a pinch, and I didn't think twice. I transferred the money that same day. A few $100s, no questions asked. I didn't think my family would use it to buy 3 round-trip flights to Iceland. I didn't think they'd lie. I didn't think they'd cut me out of something they clearly had the time and money to do. But here we were. I didn't reply. I opened my banking app, flagged the charges from Delta as fraudulent, and called the number on the back of the card. I said I had never authorized those flights. That I hadn't used my passport in years. I had all the receipts. The tickets were digital, the passengers listed under my family's names, paid with my card. I attached a note to the claim. I believe my card was used without permission. Please investigate. Then I emailed the airline directly and said there was a possible case of stolen identification tied to the booking. Cancelled passports, compromised details. Enough red flags to trigger a review. At 5:17 a.m., I got the email. Your booking has been cancelled due to a failed verification. 30 minutes later, I got another message. No caption, just a photo of the 3 of them sitting on a bench at the airport. No smiles. No mountains. And then came the real one. We're stuck. Call US. I muted my phone, set it on the windowsill, and made myself breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee. I ate slowly. I didn't feel angry or sad. Just clear. They didn't think I'd find out. They thought I'd sit back home while they soaked in geothermal spas and hiked glaciers. They thought I'd be too naive to notice the money was gone, or too polite to ask questions if I did. But I did notice. And I wasn't feeling polite anymore. I didn't call them back. Not when they messaged. Not when they called. Not when Caleb sent a voice note asking what the hell was going on. I didn't respond when my mom tried FaceTiming me twice in a row. I let it all pile up. Calls, voicemails, texts, even a few emails. Aubrey's came with the subject line. We need to talk. I didn't open it. That whole first day, I just let the silence work for me. I went to the gym. Got groceries. Cleaned the apartment like I had guests coming over, even though no one was. There was something deeply satisfying about having my own space untouched while they were all stranded in another country, scrambling to figure out what went wrong. Late that evening, I finally opened a message from Caleb. "We're stuck at the airport. They're saying we can't rebook until we pay full price again." "What the hell did you do?" I thought about answering. Thought about saying, "I did what anyone would do when their money is stolen and used to fund someone else's secret getaway." But I didn't. Instead, I typed out a single message and sent it to the family group chat. "Have a good trip." That's when things really started unraveling. By the next morning, they'd managed to get a cheap hostel in downtown Reykjavik. My sister posted a photo of a bunk bed and a shared bathroom, and someone in the comments asked where the fancy hotel went. She deleted the post an hour later. I guess she forgot I could still see everything she posted before she took it down. The next text I got was from my mom. Long rambling. Something about how the trip was meant to be a bonding experience for her and the kids, how she didn't mean to exclude me, how they thought I'd be busy with work anyway. She even had the nerve to say she was going to pay me back, eventually. She ended it with, "This reaction is really hurtful." I didn't answer. By day 3, they were still in Iceland. Flights back were too expensive without my card. They hadn't figured out another way to pay. The messages kept coming, shifting from confused to annoyed to outright furious. "Real mature, Ezekiel. You're acting like a child. I can't believe you'd sabotage your own family." That one made me laugh out loud. By now, they knew exactly what happened. The charges were reversed. The airline wouldn't rebook without full payment. They were on their own until the next affordable flight out, which, from what I gathered, was still 3 days away. That night, I made a post of my own. Just a picture of my living room, clean and quiet, my coffee table with a book and a cup of tea. No caption. No need. They saw it. I know they did. The next morning, Aubrey called 10 times in a row. No voicemail. Just her name popping up again and again until I blocked her. They'd gone to Iceland to escape, to enjoy something exclusive, something that didn't include me. They'd used my money to do it. And now, not only were they stuck, they had to sit with each other in a cheap hostel, broke, panicking, and pissed. And it was only going to get worse from here. They got back on a Tuesday night. I knew because I tracked their flight. It landed around 10:24 p.m., and I watched the little airplane icon crawl across the map until it reached JFK. I didn't go to meet them. I didn't call. I just watched the touchdown, shoved my laptop, and went to bed. The next day, Caleb showed up at my place. Didn't call ahead. Just knocked like nothing had happened. I opened the door just enough to look at him. "We need to talk," he said. I didn't say anything. Just walked back into the apartment and left the door open. He followed. He stood in the middle of my living room for a minute, looking around like he hadn't been here a dozen times before. "You screwed us over." I raised an eyebrow. He took that as permission to continue. "You stranded your own family in another country. You think that's some kind of justice?" I stayed quiet. Let him ramble. "My mom was crying. Aubrey was having panic attacks. I had to figure everything out while you were over here playing house with your self-righteous silence." Still quiet. Finally, he sat down across from me. Looked me in the eye. "You're not even going to explain yourself?" I leaned back. "You used my money. Lied to me. Left me behind. Didn't think I'd find out, didn't think I mattered enough to include. So no, I don't owe you an explanation." Caleb didn't have a response to that. Just stared. Eventually, he stood up and said, "You've made things a lot worse than they had to be." Then he left. Later that night, I got a text from my mom. It was short. "Let's talk." I ignored it. The next day, Aubrey posted a photo of our front porch from her car window with the caption, "Guess we know where we stand now." I didn't react. But something shifted after that. The tone of their messages got sharper. Less guilt, more blame. My mom left a voicemail saying she wanted to talk. Face to face. Because this family couldn't go on like this. Caleb sent a string of messages accusing me of humiliating them. Aubrey went quiet for a while, then tagged me in a meme about holding grudges. That week, I removed them all from my Netflix account. Then Spotify. Changed the password to the family cloud storage, revoked access. They noticed. Mom texted, "Really? This is petty." I texted back, That was my Netflix too. They were furious. Said I was being childish, vindictive. Caleb threatened to bring this to everyone. Whatever that meant. I think he was hoping I'd feel guilty, maybe scared. But all it did was make things easier. The next time I saw them was at a family dinner my aunt was hosting. I hadn't planned on going, but I showed up just to see what they'd do. The minute I walked in, the room shifted. My mom avoided my eyes. Caleb was stiff, quiet. Aubrey didn't even look at me. I stayed for exactly 40 minutes. Ate, chatted with my cousin, laughed at a joke from my uncle. Then I stood up, said my goodbyes, and left. Later that night, I sent a final message to the family group chat. I'm done trying to explain things to people who think betrayal only counts when they're the victims. Good luck. That was the start of the next phase. I thought they'd calm down, maybe even apologize eventually. I was wrong. They had something else planned. 2 weeks of silence passed after the dinner. No messages, no calls, not even passive-aggressive subtweets. I figured maybe they'd finally let it go. Accepted what they did, sat with the shame, and moved on. Then my landlord called. Someone had submitted an anonymous complaint saying I was illegally subletting my apartment on the side for cash. The kind of thing that could get your lease terminated fast. He said he had to follow protocol and scheduled a walk-through. I don't sublet. I don't even like guests. But I nodded, let him inspect the place, and pretended I didn't know who did it. 3 days later, my car got tagged for removal. A big orange sticker slapped across the windshield, the kind that takes forever to scrape off. Vehicle reported as abandoned. It was parked legally. I called the city, filed the appeal, cleared it up. But I didn't miss the timing. It wasn't random. It was pressure. Then came the fake job applications. 3 companies reached out asking to confirm my availability for positions I never applied for. One of them was for a warehouse job in upstate New York. Another was for a graveyard shift at a call center. My resume, my phone number, my email. By the time I got an email asking if I was still interested in the adult webcam opportunity, I knew it was Aubrey. That kind of thing was her brand of petty. I didn't respond. Didn't flinch. Just started collecting. Screenshots, call logs, email headers. I kept everything organized, dates, times, details. I wasn't angry. I was patient. I was done playing defense. They wanted to turn this into a war. I was fine with that. The final straw came from Caleb. Someone had opened a fake Venmo account with my name and photo. They were sending tiny payments to people, $1 here, $2 there, with messages like, for bail, and, thanks for not snitching. The account linked back to a burner email, but I traced the profile photo. It was one of me from 3 years ago, taken at a barbecue. A picture I never posted online. Only Caleb had a copy of that photo. That's when I moved from reaction to retaliation. I started with his reselling side hustle. He'd been flipping electronics under the table for months, stacking cash, bragging to friends. Stored everything in my mom's garage. I waited until he posted a story from a concert, time-stamped and geotagged. Then I made 3 calls. 1 to the HOA. 1 to the city code enforcement. 1 to his landlord. I told them everything. Described the stacks of boxes, the foot traffic, the shipping he was doing out of the place. 2 days later, the city issued a warning. His landlord flagged him. The HOA called my mom, who didn't know anything about it. I let that chaos simmer for a week. Then I hit the storage unit. I still remembered the password. Back when he asked me to help him move, I handled the registration. I called, pretended to be him, said he wanted to cancel autopay. The account dropped into default status within days. Then came the inspection. They opened the unit after a missed payment. Found stacks of unreported inventory, no commercial license, no documentation. They froze the unit. He tried to fight it, but the damage was done. He lost thousands. His silence was immediate. The next day, Aubrey posted a screenshot of a GoFundMe she'd made. Tough times, the caption said. Comments were turned off. I could see the fractures now. My mom wasn't liking Aubrey's posts. Caleb stopped tagging anyone. I saw a photo from a cousin's birthday dinner. Aubrey and Caleb weren't even sitting next to each other. No shared jokes, no inside comments. But my mom was the one who cracked first. She showed up at my office building. I spotted her from the glass wall before she made it to reception. I ducked into a side corridor and waited until she left. Security flagged her visit. That night, she left a handwritten note on my door. It was a mix of blame and desperation. She said I was blowing things out of proportion. That they hadn't meant to exclude me, that they thought I wouldn't be interested in Iceland. That they never expected me to take it so personally. And the kicker: this is all tearing our family apart. I didn't respond. The next morning, she texted, "Let's just put this behind us. No more drama." That's when I knew she was scared. Scared of how far I might go, of what I knew, of what I might still do. But I wasn't done. They thought I'd cooled off. That I had gotten my revenge and would move on. But what they didn't understand was that revenge wasn't about balance anymore. It was about breaking the cycle. And I was just getting started. 3 days after her message, I got a call from my uncle. He never calls me. He opened with a sigh and didn't even bother with small talk. Said he didn't want to get involved, but that things were getting out of hand. Apparently, my mom had been calling around, trying to get the rest of the family on her side, spinning the story like I'd gone rogue, ruined their trip for no reason, and was now deliberately trying to destroy the family. I let him talk. He asked if I wanted to come over for coffee and talk it out. I told him I appreciated the call. That was it. Within a week, word got around. I started getting cold texts from cousins I hadn't heard from in years, mostly polite little probes. "Hope you're doing okay. Heard there's been some stuff going on. Let me know if you want to chat." The guilt tour was in full swing. Meanwhile, my mom and Aubrey launched a new tactic. They tried to get my job involved. An anonymous email was sent to HR claiming I had been using company resources for personal vendettas, that I was harassing family members, abusing internal systems. Luckily, our HR department is small, and I'm close with the director. She brought me in, closed the door, and showed me the message. "I'm not even going to file this," she said. "But you should know, someone wants to see you gone." I thanked her and left the meeting with my hands practically shaking. That night, I sat at my desk and started writing. Not messages. Not replies. A letter. 6 pages long. Not to them, but to the rest of the family. The cousins, the aunts, the uncles. Everyone they had tried to recruit. I wrote the truth, laid it all out, dates, screenshots, proof. I didn't beg for sympathy. I didn't make excuses. I just told the story, start to finish. I sent it from a private email. BCC'd every address I had. Then I logged off and went for a walk. It took less than 12 hours for the fallout to start. Caleb was the first to call. He didn't even try to deny it this time. Just started shouting. I hung up. Aubrey followed with a series of unhinged messages about how I exaggerated everything and ruined their reputation. I didn't respond. Then came silence. They stopped posting online. My mom deleted her Facebook account entirely. My uncle messaged me again, this time saying, "Whatever happens next, just protect your peace." I took his advice literally. I blocked them all. Phone, email, socials. Changed my locks just to be safe. Cleaned out my apartment, scrubbed their photos from my walls, dumped an entire box of old cards and keepsakes into the trash. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. Something in me shifted that week. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was clarity. That I didn't need them. That maybe I never really had them in the way I thought I did. And then, just when I thought it was over, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. Postmarked from our hometown. It was from my mom. Just one sentence. "You win, Ezekiel, but this isn't over." I sat there holding it for a long time. And I realized she still didn't get it. It was never about winning. It was about walking away. I didn't keep the letter. I tore it in half without reading it again and dropped it in the trash with the kind of calm that only comes when you're absolutely sure of yourself. The part of me that once would have hesitated, waited, hoped, replayed, was gone. For the first time in years I felt still. No background noise of obligation. No imaginary scoreboard where I'm always trying to balance being the good son, or the forgiving sibling. That version of me had died somewhere between their flight to Iceland and my last email. Life got better fast. I got promoted at work. My boss said she liked how I'd been laser focused lately. I didn't tell her it was because I'd removed every source of emotional clutter from my life. I started going to the gym more. Cooking again. seeing friends I hadn't made time for in years. One of them, Jared, invited me to a cabin trip with his friends. I hesitated, but then I remembered what they said when I suggested a vacation. Too busy. I went. We drank around a fire, hiked a ridge trail at sunrise, swam in a freezing lake. I didn't post a thing. It was just mine. Nobody was watching. A few weeks later, I ran into Aubrey in the grocery store. She looked surprised to see me, like I wasn't supposed to exist in the same city anymore. We locked eyes for maybe 2 seconds. She opened her mouth to say something. I walked right past her. Didn't look back. I'm not naive. I know my name still comes up when they talk to each other, probably followed by a scoff or a sigh. Maybe they tell the story differently now. Maybe in their version, I'm bitter or unstable or cruel. That's fine. Let them rewrite history. I'm not sending corrections anymore. I don't know what Caleb's doing now. I haven't checked. I don't care if Aubrey finished school or if my mom ever paid back that loan. They don't exist in my daily world anymore. They're characters from a book I finished and put back on the shelf. And if one day they come knocking again, whether out of guilt, or desperation, or nostalgia, I won't answer. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally learned that not all family is permanent. Sometimes the best way to love yourself is to let go of the people who never really saw you, even when you were right in front of them. And sometimes the best revenge is peace. First update. About 6 months after everything, I got a knock on my door just after 8 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. It was a Wednesday, raining, and I had just settled into the couch with a bowl of stir-fry and a documentary playing in the background. I checked the peephole. It was Caleb. I almost didn't open the door. But curiosity won out, and I cracked it just enough to see his face. He looked tired, like someone who'd been carrying something heavy for too long. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "Just listen for a minute." I said nothing but left the door open and stepped aside. He walked in slowly, looking around like he barely recognized the place. I didn't offer him anything. I just waited. "I need to tell you something," he said. "And it's not about Iceland." That caught my attention. He sat down at the edge of the couch, like someone preparing to confess in a church. "Aubrey's pregnant." That didn't register right away. I waited for more. "She hasn't told Mom yet. She's not sure if she's going to. And," he paused, like it physically hurt to say it, "she doesn't know who the father is." I blinked. Of all the things I expected him to say, that wasn't even on the list. He kept going. "She's a mess, man. She's been trying to keep it together, finishing school, working 2 jobs. But she's scared." I didn't respond. "She wanted to come here. She chickened out." Now I was irritated. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because," he said, "she thinks you'd be the only one who wouldn't judge her." I almost laughed. After everything they'd done. After using me, lying to me, trying to ruin me when I pushed back. Now I was supposed to be the soft place to land? He stood up. "I know we can't fix what we broke. But I think she really regrets it. Not just the trip. Everything." I opened the door for him. He walked out without another word. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Not angry. Just unsettled. Because for the first time since I'd walked away, something tugged at me. I didn't feel sympathy. But I couldn't deny the small ache behind the ribs. I didn't message her. I didn't reach out. But I left my number unblocked. Not because I wanted to reconnect. But because I wanted to see what she would do with the first chance she had to be honest. 2 weeks passed. Nothing. Then, late one night, 2:11 a.m., I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It just said, "I didn't know how to say it. But thank you for not slamming the door." There was no name, but I knew it was Aubrey. I stared at it for a while. Not because I was moved, but because it was the first time she'd reached out without trying to justify, explain, or twist things. No manipulation. No side comments. I didn't respond. 3 days later, she sent another. "I've been going to counseling. Alone. It's hard." Still no ask, no apology. Just another small update, like she was testing the water to see if silence would answer back. That night, I went to her Instagram. She hadn't posted anything since the GoFundMe. Her bio was wiped clean. Just her name and a black heart emoji. I didn't follow. Just looked, then closed the app. But part of me thought maybe, just maybe, this time, she wasn't reaching out to be rescued. She was reaching out to face what she broke. And maybe, that meant something. Not enough for trust. But maybe enough for a conversation. One day. Not now. But maybe.